Jeffrey is on the roof of a McDonald's in the middle of the night. Using a few tools, he manages to find a weak spot. The next morning, the manager and two employees arrive and Jeffrey corners them with a gun. He talks very nicely to them and promises that no one will get hurt. After making them put on their coats, he takes them to the freezer. The manager doesn't have a coat and is freezing, so Jeffrey gives his. Then he takes all the money from the safe and flees, avoiding the approaching police car. This all started 2 years ago. Jeffrey is a divorced Army veteran struggling to support his 3 children. On Beck's birthday, he gives away some of his old toys and she clearly doesn't like it. Jeffrey tells his best friend and fellow veteran Steve that he can't get a regular job because his Army skills aren't useful for everyday things. However, Steve points out that Jeffrey has incredible powers of observation that allow him to see things that other people don't. Later, at a McDonald's, Jeffrey leaves the children with Talana's mother and tries to promise that he will do better. But Talana no longer believes in him. After the family has had a spell, Jeffrey is left disappointed to discover that Beck has left his gift in the car. He then watches a technician climb onto the roof of the McDonald's and has an idea. He enters and in just a few minutes learns the employees' routines and all the details of how the business works. In the following years, Jeffrey robs 45 McDonald's using the same method, cutting a hole in the roof and then invading it. He becomes famous for his crimes and the media nicknames him the Roof Man. They too call him terrifying, but the employees robbed him for good. There is a sketch of him, but since he always wears a mask, they only know his height and build. Now Jeffrey can have a better life. He buys a better TV and fancy things for Beck's birthday. Like a band, a fancy cake, and the bike she's always wanted. All these changes and the description of the man on the roof leave Steve suspicious. Unfortunately, Beck's birthday party is interrupted by the arrival of the police. Desperate, Jeffrey starts to run away. He jumps through all the neighbors' yards and makes it to the hill only to trip and roll. This allows the police to catch him while Beck watches. After a quick trial, Jeffrey is sentenced to 15 years in prison. He calls back and manages to say a few words, only to hear that Talana already has a new boyfriend. She refuses to talk to him and forces Beck to hang up. Jeffrey then never gets to talk to his children again. He ends up ripping Talana's face off the family photo he brought. Eventually, Jeffrey starts working in the prison workshops and learns every detail of the workers' routines, especially the delivery truck. Once he has a plan in mind, he continues working while making all the parts he will need to escape, such as cutting a plank of wood, welding some metal pieces, and altering some clothing. One day, Jeffrey waits until the driver is back in the truck's cabin, runs to get his plank of wood. He sneaks under the truck, inserts the plank into the structure, and hides behind it. As the truck pulls out of the building, a guard uses a meter to check underneath him. But Jeffrey is well hidden, so he is not seen and successfully escapes. After a few hours on the dirt road, the driver stops to relieve himself. Jeffrey takes the opportunity to get out and carefully sneak around the vehicle to run toward the forest. There, he sheds the prison jumpsuit, revealing more clothes underneath. He reaches another road and hitchhikes back to the city. Outside his house, he watches Beck riding his bike but doesn't dare approach because he knows the police will come. That night, Jeffrey calls Steve asking for help getting out of the country. Steve says he's all over the news and asks to stay quiet for now. They can talk again in a month. At that moment, a police car pulls up and Jeffrey looks around for ideas. There's a toy store across the street, so he runs in with a shopping cart pretending to be a customer. After wandering around for a while, pretending to shop, Jeffrey goes to the bathroom. Climbing onto a toilet bowl, he manages to reach the ceiling and hide behind a sign. A policeman enters the bathroom to look for him but doesn't see him. As soon as the store closes, Jeffrey goes down to the office. He checks the security cameras to confirm that he is alone and enters the main area. Quickly noticing the position of the cameras, Jeffrey carefully sneaks around to avoid being recorded and uses a tool to reach some jars of baby food that he eats in the office. He also watches the news to follow the police operation looking for him and is offended when they say he is violent. He returns to the ceiling and spends the entire day there. The following night, Jeffrey finds the manual for the security system and manages to set the recording. Now he can run around the store as much as he wants. After taking tons of candy, he discovers that there is an empty space behind the bike display. So he cleans it before bringing some mattresses and food to make his home. As the days pass, Jeffrey continues to live in the toy store. He spends the day sleeping while everyone is out shopping unsuspecting and comes out at night to play with his toys. Jeffrey takes clean clothes from the donation box and clumsily washes his body in the bathroom. Watching the news, he follows his case and discovers that the police have not given up on finding him yet. One night, Jeffrey discovers that the store also sells baby monitors, so he installs them throughout the store and in the office to spy on the employees. He watches as Lack asks her boss Mitch for alternate weekends off, explaining that she got divorced a few months ago and the custody situation is complicated. Unfortunately, Mitch refuses and Jeffrey feels very bad for her. Using the Tibetan baby monitor, he discovers Mitch's password and later uses it to access the store system and change the league schedule. Eventually, the media and the police lose interest in Jeffrey, so he finally dares to go out to watch the fireworks on the 4th of July. The next day, he changes the lock on the fire exit so he can come and go at will. Riding one of the store's bikes, he finds a payphone and tries to call Steve. His girlfriend Michael answers and says that Steve has left for Afghanistan on a 6-month contract. He won't be back until December. Jeffrey leaves a message for him in code before calling his house but doesn't dare speak because he hears Beck having fun with his father-in-law. Delano suspects the silence and guesses it's Jeffrey, then asks him not to call again or she'll tell the police. He has a meltdown after hanging up. That night, Jeffrey sets up a calendar to count down the days until Steve's return. He's so frustrated that he starts banging on the toys. Sometime later, Jeffrey hears Mitch accusing an employee of stealing candy, pointing to his big belly as evidence. He immediately comes to his co-worker's defense while Jeffrey feels bad for getting the guy into trouble. That night, he returns all the candy he took. The next day, Elle tells Mitch about a charity brunch at his church, hoping he can donate something to the toy drive. Mitch refuses to give away anything from the store for free, not even the returns that don't sell. After Lick leaves, Mitch throws her pannier in the trash. Feeling bad for Lick, Jeffrey decides to take some toys to the church. He tries to leave the bag outside, but is evaded by a fellow church member who forces him to stay for the entire service. Jeffrey can't stop staring at Lick while she sings in the choir. Afterwards, he decides to stay for the charity brunch just for the food, since he hasn't eaten anything but baby food and candy. The locals don't recognize him, so he ends up being new to the town and introduces himself as John. He even manages to chat with Elle, who is very impressed with his donation. When he asks about his life, he lets it be known that he does confidential work for the government. Because of that, he can't talk about it. He invites her to go to more church events, and he's so lonely that he agrees. Later, Jeffrey tries to brush his teeth, but they hurt a lot because of all the candy he's eaten. He steals some video games from the toy store and pawns them to get money for the dentist, who finds 14 cavities. Jeffrey, too, is purchasing some respectable adult clothing so he can stop wearing cartoon-printed teenage clothes. During the next church event, Jeffrey manages to charm all the ladies. A woman who used to work as a police officer is surprised to know that this small town has an intelligence unit, so Jeffrey secretly convinces her everywhere and continues to avoid questions. After the event, Lee wonders if Jeffrey likes men, and that's why he felt like one of the girls. But Jeffrey assures him that he doesn't, so she asks him out. The couple goes to the park for their first date. Jeffrey is left feeling awkward when he discovers that Elle's ex is also named Jeffrey. They have a lot of fun again and end up going to Leal's house to get closer. After he finishes, Lig tells her about his daughters, and Jeffrey says he would love to meet them. On the weekend, he visits her and gets to know her daughters. Although Lig introduces him as a friend from church, since he's still new, he gives Lig some merchandise from his favorite video game, and she is so happy that she thanks him with a hug. However, when he tries to offer Lindsay some music, she refuses and goes to her room. Jeffrey spends the rest of the night playing with Dean, which helps him feel like a father again. Weeks go by and Jeffrey continues to hang out with LJ. He attends all the church events and tries to connect with the girls. He gets along well with Dean, but Lindsay continues to ignore him. They even spend Halloween together. To pay for all the outings, he steals and resells more video games. The fear of being recognized never leaves him. Jeffrey asks Lig if he can start a new life in another place. Elle refuses, explaining that his life is there. One night, Jeffrey is washing himself in the bathroom when suddenly he hears a voice. To his shock, Mitch has been in the store after work hours. His clothes are hanging up, so he waits until Mitch enters the office and runs to retrieve them. Unfortunately, Mitch sees him, and Jeffrey quickly runs to hide. Jeffrey tries to escape, activating the alarm at the back door, but runs back to his well-anticipated hiding place. Mitch calls the police, and soon the officers are searching the store. They stay there for several hours and do not find Jeffrey. However, they eventually notice that the security cameras are not recording. Mitch tells them that many video games have gone missing and promises to get better security. Soon, the media covers the story, but it doesn't stop Jeffrey from meeting up with Lee and attending church events. During Thanksgiving dinner, Lig's friends remain concerned about her safety because of the toy store robber and say she should resign. Jeffrey insists that the robber didn't seem dangerous, but also agrees that Lig should resign, which some people find contradictory. Elle finds that someone being so desperate to wash up in a store bathroom is actually a sad situation and that he shouldn't make jokes about it. Lindsay explodes and accuses the mother of spending more time at work than with the family. After a short discussion, she leaves. The next day, Jeffrey calls Steve. Michael answers the call again and gives him Steve's message. He is to visit them the following Sunday to sort things out. Afterwards, Jeffrey convinces Lee and Lindsay to apologize, but they end up arguing again as Lindsay is still angry that he can't leave the house because Lig won't take her. And Jeffrey agrees to teach the girl how to drive and they go buy a car for her. During the tests, he impresses the girls by doing some crazy maneuvers while he drives very fast, but he remains terrified. He then convinces the salesman to let Lindsay drive, paying well and in cash. Very nervous, Lindsay brings them back undamaged. On Sunday, Jeffrey finally meets with Steve, who asks if his friend has been hiding and avoiding contact with anyone. Jeffrey tells me that he has. Michael puts a wig on Jeffrey for a photo so he can get a new passport, and Steve creates an entire cover story for him under a new name. To get Jeffrey out of the country, they will need $50,000, which he obviously still doesn't have. He promises that he will get it anyway. Then, he drives to the elevator and climbs onto the roof to invade with his old methods. However, he miscalculates and falls into the neighboring store. He's so desperate to reach the world of piety that he breaks the wall while triggering the alarm. Jeffrey grabs a gun and a police bulletproof vest before using a statue to break through the front door and escape. Later, in the toy store, he puts up some signs to cover his hiding place. He overhears Mitch talking with the employees about the details of the next few weeks. The holiday season is when the store gets more customers and more money. Security will be tight. They will open earlier and close later, including on Christmas Eve. That means a lot of extra shifts for everyone. That night, Jeffrey changes the schedule so the Lig will not be in the store on the day of his plan. The next day, he takes a large Christmas tree along with lots of decorations and gifts to Lig's house before going to church with the whole family. While observing her as she sings, he couldn't help but cry. The next morning, Jeffrey puts on his mask and goes out with his gun, drawn to rob the toy store. While he ties up all the employees, the security guard tries to take his gun. So Jeffrey has to knock him out. The sight of blood sends everyone into a panic. Jeffrey makes Mitch open the safe and demands that he remove the ink spray from the bills. The spray splatters ink all over Mitch's face, but Jeffrey takes the bag of money with security. On the way out, an employee berates Jeffrey for hurting the guard and says he needs an ambulance. Jeffrey decides to stay to call 911, and this delay ends up causing Lig to arrive for her turn. She runs away in a panic, so Jeffrey escapes through the back door. The police quickly arrived and saved the waiting guard. This time, the investigation is more thorough. The police find Jeffrey's hiding place in the store. Elle is questioned and explains that she was unable to identify who it was because of the mask. Meanwhile, Jeffrey confronts Steve for all the documents, fakes, and plane tickets to go to Venezuela tomorrow. Steve asks about the flight he saw on TV. Jeffrey says he doesn't know anything. Michael places the wig on him while Steve explains that he needs to get rid of any records he may have left behind. He has no choice but to invade the dentist's office and burn it down. The next day, Jeffrey is driving to the airport when he receives a call from Lee. After much hesitation, he stops to answer. He invites her for Christmas dinner and Jeffrey cries as he agrees to go. Moments later, he appears at her house with some gifts. However, this ends up being a trap, and soon the police surround him to arrest him. In the police car, Lig cries with guilt. Jeffrey is sent back to prison with a 32-year sentence. He places a photo of his family next to his old one and has plenty of time to think about all the pain and damage he has caused with his plans. Jeffrey begins attending a support group in prison and eventually manages to call back again. The other prisoners want to know if he will escape again, but Jeffrey has accepted his punishment. One day, Lig visits him, so he takes the chance to apologize. Lig admits that she used to stay angrily, but now sees the time they spent together as an adventure for which she is grateful. He apologizes for his part in putting him in prison.